we get underway. Thank you.
Joe, could you start off by telling us if you've had any injuries or knocks coming out of that game?
Yeah, plenty of knocks, but no injuries. One of the good things is we made a few tactical substitutions, but none of them were really injury-induced. But there's some pretty tired bodies there. I think they made 190 tackles, we made 135. That suggests that there was a fair bit of collision stuff out there, and it was very hard work post-tackle as well.
Joe, you spoke about
that anything to do with how close that was at times out there?
No, it was in the warm-up. Because the stadium is so loud, I was just calling a change, and it's a regular change that we do in the warm-up to change the width of our passing, and I called it out. Suddenly I had no voice left. So, yeah, it was of great relief for the players.
What's your assessment of what went before us?
Yeah, I have a sense it was a bit of a one-score game. It was a 20-point result in a one-score game because they really probably butchered a couple of really good chances. I think the line breaks, I think we made twice as many line breaks as they did. So I don't think the result should tip the other way, but I do think they were very close to getting right away a couple of times. Obviously, getting the intercept, it was something that we had looked at and we did feel was an opportunity. So it wasn't suddenly something that sprang out. Jacob knew if he tucked and waited that they might throw that long ball, as they did last week. And Hugh Jones picked it up, but Jonathan Joseph could potentially have done the same thing.
What's your assessment of the Irish performance? Who would you call out as having played particularly well, or just as a collective? What pleased you most?
Yeah, I think there were a couple of players who worked incredibly hard. I think James Ryan was immense again. I think he made 13 tackles and had 13 ball carries. CJ Stander had 12 tackles and 12 ball carries. Gary Ringrose, I think he had 90 running metres, 11 tackles, covered the ground incredibly well for a guy who's probably not up to full fitness yet. But I thought he was super. Rob Carney, obviously. I think he had 140 running metres with the ball. That's exceptional in any game. And early in the game, I thought he did really well contesting the high ball. He almost got away to create that score at one stage. But on the back of that, we created the score with a little set play, which worked out really well. Yeah, I think the scrum was really solid. I did feel that, they came around on the axis a little bit, which made that a little bit difficult. We got some good line-out defence in. I think we got maybe 3 or 4 of theirs, but we lost one of ours 5 metres out, and that first 10 minutes was a real frustration to be 3-0 down. It was a bit like Wales, where in that first 20 minutes we're 13-5 down, but we've played some really good stuff. And I think we've got to make sure that we're accumulating points when we are in strong positions.
Joe, after Rory, the games at this point, you've spoken about how the play had become slightly disjointed after the replacements come on. That didn't happen today. What did you work on over the last 2 weeks to make that play out?
I think one of the things is we try to balance our replacements a little bit. I think part of that was the selection of Ian Henderson in there. Jack McGrath, he knows what he's doing in the group. Sean Cronin. I thought Geordie Murphy was outstanding off the bench. I thought he carried really well, was very good at trying to get himself organised defensively and stay connected up. So there was a number of really good performers off the bench. That seamlessness is what we'd like to get. Unfortunately, it just doesn't happen like that all the time.
Joe, you're 4-0 for the championship. How motivated are you in this squad to make it 5-0?
I think there's definite motivation there. Rory spoke to the players briefly after the match, just to look after themselves. And at this stage of the championship, you're always a little bit fatigued. There's, as I said, no injuries, but there's certainly bumps and bruises. I think the skipper here's got a bit of running repairs under his chin there with a few stitches, and there's those sort of accumulated niggles that do make the last week of the championship a fairly testing one anyway. So I'd say we're just keen to try to get everyone fit to train Monday, Tuesday, and and then we'll head off to England Thursday evening and try to see what we can do over there.
Rory, can you tell us what can you describe what kind of occasion St Patrick's Day in Twickenham is going to be?
Yeah, look, it's going to be a big game for us now. I know we say they're all big games, but whenever you put yourselves in the position to win everything effectively in this Six Nations, this great championship, it becomes massive. And the key for us at the same time is to make sure that we approach it as we do every game. And I think the beauty of this squad is that, you know, we never get too far ahead of ourselves, and people got bored with us saying all championship, that it's one game at a time, and that's the mentality we've had, and we've chipped off each game as it's come, and we got another 5 points tonight, and we've set ourselves up for a big week. But look, it becomes a big game for us because of what we've done previously, so we have to stick to that and know that throughout this championship we've tried to improve our performances week on week or game on game, and it's going to have to be the same again. We're going to have to probably, once for cliche, save the best for last, and that's what it's going to take to win everything next week.
And what does it mean to you to captain Ireland to a Grand Slam?
Look, it'd obviously be special, but I think it'd be special for every member of the entire, I don't know, 30 whatever we've had in camp at various times over, because like it is a squad thing, and Joe touched on the guys coming off the bench and the impact they made, and like that's what it's been all about right throughout, and it'll be no different next week. There will come moments next week when we'll need to dig deep, and look, I suppose I'm the one lucky enough to be captain, but we have a lot of big leaders in that squad, and it shows at times. If you look at tonight, it showed at big times when we were under pressure and they were trying to play chaotic, uncontrolled rugby. We were able to almost to get a breath and get control back, and that is because the spine of the team is very important to us, and they're very big leaders.
Rory, as one of the two survivors from the 09 team, what role do you think yourself and Rob will play in kind of setting the tone and just trying to manage the enormity of what next week will be?
Look, I think by and large we're in a bubble, and you know, when things aren't going well, you're shielded a bit from it, and it's the same whenever the massive game comes up. Look, everyone's going to be aware of how big it is, and everyone will be aware of how big the challenge will be to go to Twickenham. They haven't lost there under Eddie Jones, and it's going to be a massive challenge for us, and it is about as much as possible trying to treat it like another game, you know, and we know what works for us. We know when we're in a really good position on Wednesday night with our stuff. We know when everyone's switched in, everyone's clued in, and if we can get all those processes right and go into Saturday with that confidence behind us, and then just, I suppose, leave everything out there on next Saturday afternoon.
Joe, how confidence building is it to have got the 4 try bonus point win, obviously, but to have kind of got the tries through different means, a couple out wide and 2 set pieces?
Yeah, we always do try to keep a lot of variety in our game, and you know, there was even early in the game there, I think we had a penalty advantage, and Keith Earls almost got that one that went across field. So you know, you've got to be able to keep that balance, because a team like Scotland works so hard; they're very hard to break down. So you can't just have one means. You've got to be quite broad in how you attack really good teams, and it's hard to find bad teams in the Six Nations.
They did have a couple of chances in the first half. There was one butcher pass, I think, Jones to Hogg, and then there was another one or two maybe in the first and second half. I know you haven't probably looked at it in depth yet, but would you be disappointed with the defence there because they came a long way, the defenders, or how do you view it at this stage? Yeah,
there was one, they got a little bit of space behind and picked that ball up and then got away with it. And they broke us down the right-hand touch at one stage, and I think it was Peter Horn put it across one of his players to Blair Kinghorn and came off his fingertips. You know, I thought they were a couple of really good chances for them. You know, we managed to scramble one time when Stuart Hogg half got through the tackle and offloaded it out the back of his hand. You know, he's very, very skillful, and you can't think that you've got him, because you need to make sure you get to the people around him as well. And he was in incredible danger the whole time. So when you add up those 3 opportunities, you know, that's why I said I thought it felt to me watching it, this is a one-score game, but it was nice to have that scoreboard buffer that we had of that 20-point margin.
Joe, are they the same thing? Are they the same areas where Ireland have given up tries in the Six Nations that you've just described there? Are they the same problems that we're seeing?
No, not really. I think the one they got, they were on penalty advantage. I think from a line-out maul, and that was when you're throwing players into that, you inevitably get a little bit short on the edge. I thought we maybe could have done slightly better when they scored out wide, but the other ones, Stuart Hogg came through the middle, and the other one was a ball that went behind and they picked it up. So I think just like everyone, they play with a bit of variety, and when you try to over-predict where a team are going to go, you're going to get yourself into trouble. But at the same time, you do want a bit of prediction so that you can plan exactly where you need to be, and I thought that was part of Jacob picking up that intercept. I thought he read it very well, and I was surprised they threw it after last week, where the last game against Wales, where he picked up a very similar try.
Joe, just on the face of it, 3 bonus point wins in the 3 home games you've had, that must be hugely satisfying.
Hugely, even it's funny we talk about those 3 home games. It's still incredibly satisfying that the very skinny when we got in Paris, because we had to work so hard for that as well. You get nothing easy in this championship, and so I think some of the tries have been spectacular. I think we had over 600 running metres with the ball in hand today. That is a very high number, and on the back of that, it means that we are really challenging teams and causing them a little bit of angst, and we want to continue to do that, obviously, and we want to try to minimise the angst we feel by shoring up a couple of things which you're always trying to do.
Joe, as Rory said earlier, like England had lost Twickenham, Brady Jones. Would you be that?
Yeah, I guess history doesn't protect you from the future. And we knew that today. We hadn't lost in 5 years in the Six Nations here in Dublin, and it didn't protect us. We had to go out and win again. And so, that's all part of the challenge. We need to go to Twickenham and try to test that record out, I guess. It won't be uppermost in our thinking because, I think you can be distracted looking back when you really need to keep going forward. And in this championship, if you don't keep going forward, you do get left behind. And from where Scotland started the championship, away to Wales and Cardiff, how much better are they now? And that's no disrespect to their first up performance, but to come from 17-7 behind against France, to do what they did to England, and as I said, it was kind of felt to me like a one-score game today. They were massively up for it. So we didn't feel that our 5-year unbeaten run here in the Six Nations protected us, and I'm pretty sure Eddie and the English boys, they will be fully focused on winning the game, not reflecting on the last 2 years that they've remained unbeaten there.
What would the last couple mean to you personally?
I think it would give me incredible satisfaction because I work with these young men who go out and do an incredibly difficult job, and they work incredibly hard, and it would give me satisfaction to see that rewarded, to be honest. I think they're a great bunch. They acquit themselves to very tough moments incredibly well, and you want to see that rewarded. And I know in the next week they'll work incredibly hard to try to give themselves the best chance of gaining that reward. So, in the end, the satisfaction is something that really is placed around the effort that they make.
The championship is wrapped up tonight. Is it a little harder to refocus because you've got a trophy in the bag already?
I don't think so, because for us, it's it is very much 1 week at a time. If you can't motivate yourself for a test match at Twickenham against England, it's always going to be a difficult ask if you're in a green jersey. I think that we're incredibly motivated because we know the standard that England has set, that they've been incredibly consistent, incredibly difficult to beat, and we've no doubt that that will be the case next week as well. And if we're not very, very much in the game, then they could get away from you very quickly with the athletes they have.
Okay, guys, we're going to finish up there. Thank you.
9-6, Joe.
Oh, 9-6. That's good. They can kick all the goals they like. As long as there's no tries. What is the time gone? 32 minutes. Yeah. There we go.